Hi, I wanted to briefly discuss some of the tools and equipment that could be used for doing surface mount soldering. The problem I've got is I have a very small circuit board and there's a QFN sized package that needs to be soldered on, and ordinarily I might use a reflow oven, but this board is so tiny it just seems not worth the effort. So I thought I'd try using a hot air gun and just manually putting on that just one component rather than reflowing and soldering everything onto the board all in one go. And then all the other smaller components, the easier components like the resistors and capacitors, I can just do with a soldering iron. So I keep a box of tricks basically to do all with everything that I need to do surface mount. Obviously you need some solder, so I keep this in a fridge. It's just solder paste. And I think this one's probably expired, yeah, September 2017, so really, I mean this is fine for prototypes, but that's about it. And then I have a whole load of equipment here. Some sort of board is needed, something flat, so either aluminium sheet or some hard plastic just to work on. Wet wipes. Also stencil wipes if you can get them. These are useful for cleaning up the PCB stencil, which will be used for putting on the solder paste. After it's been used it needs to be wiped down fully clean, so this is useful. And you can use isopropyl alcohol as well if you want to, just plain white. What else have I got in here? Thermometer, something to examine the PCB with. You can use a microscope as well. You need a squeegee, and some people have success with a piece of plastic like credit cards and things, but this is not overly expensive and it really does give good results, so I think it's worth using. An old pair of tweezers that you don't mind getting damaged with heat. Brushes and things. Spatula or something to take solder paste out with. Scrap PCBs that you can just test with. And tape, that's really important. This is used for taping down the stencil before you do the squeegee action. And maybe Kapton tape as well if you're doing something with thermocouple to measure the temperature, for example. And obviously this stencil, so when you order the PCB you can get the stencil made up at the same time. This is just like an old one. You can choose what thickness you want sometimes as well, so that can be important depending on how fine and how small the apertures are for the components that you're going to be fitting. So this one's got a very, very small aperture here, so this size was controlled. Okay, so I'm going to use all of that to basically put on the Texas Instruments CC2640 R2 part down onto the PCB. You do need lots of spare PCBs as well, or other scrap PCB material, because you need to get the height of the stencil to be the same across a large enough area so that you can use a squeegee properly without damaging the stencil or applying the paste badly. And obviously you need a hot air tool. So this is not really ideal. The nozzle tip's quite small, but this should work, I'm hoping. I am also going to be heating the PCB from on the underside as well. And so for that you could use something like this. It's basically a preheater. Move that stuff out of the way. And there's different types. You can get ones with very small controlled source of air, so it doesn't affect the rest of the PCB. This is the only one I've got, so this is what I'll be using. And you can adjust these and mount the PCB with that. Okay. Thanks for watching.